Hi there! My name's Robin. I'm the Knowledge and Training Director here at Cato Networks, and I have something very exciting to share for you. Over the past few months, we've been hard at work uplifting, developing, and evolving our Cato management application to provide you with an enhanced, improved experience. I want to share this with you today and show you how the new Cato management application is more than just a shiny new coat of paint and a change of CSS code. So, let's hop on over. I'll meet you on the Cato application. Now, this is the Cato management application you've known, loved, and have been using for a long time. This provides you easy oversight into your networks, your users, your usage profiles. But Cato understands that your networks are evolving, your users are changing, your business is developing and growing, and Cato wants to come along on this journey with you. We want to provide you the features that enable your business to operate as you want. So, if you go to the top of your page, you'll have a shiny new Try the New Interface button. This new interface button will coexist, so the existing Cato management application you have today will still exist. No risk, no drama, no excitement. Actually, lots of excitement. But if you click on this button and choose to switch to the new interface, you'll be redirected to our new Cato application. I'm going to take myself out of the frame. This isn't about me. Let's just focus on things we have today. Now, as you can see, we have a new topology window. This topology window is providing insight to who and what is connected. I can see there's a user called Robin Johns who has a Windows machine. I can see there's an Aurora, Illinois office connected. But sometimes the topology and the information we provide just isn't enough. So the topology window we have can be customized. It can be edited. This is all part of our improved monitoring capabilities and the monitoring capacities that we're providing as part of the new Cato management application. So, at a base, maybe you want to come here and just see the sites that are connected or disconnected. If I click on disconnected, you can see the topology has changed to just show me what has been disconnected. Or if I wanted to just see which VPN or remote users are connected, I can do the same with a simple click. But this is only part of the picture. Let's filter, let's group, let's provide you the ability to control how your network is visualized by moving onto the right-hand corner and choosing Filter and Group. It's up here. By clicking Filter and Group, you can choose to group your users, your sites, or both on the topology window. Now, as you can see, I just currently have the VPN user selected, and in the window in the middle, Robin Johns is here connected. But I want to know more about this user. I want to know more about these remote types. So let's change the grouping to a customized grouping. Now, first, maybe I want to know which point of presence is this user connected to. So I'll choose location. And as you can see on the topology window, this user is now connected via the London Cato point of presence. If I wanted to know more about this user and know what internet service provider are they using, maybe I can choose provider. And now I know this user is connected via Virgin Media Limited to our London point of presence. But maybe I want to go an extra step further and also know which operating system this user is using. By choosing operating system, I now can see that Robin Johns is using a Windows machine connecting to Virgin Media into London. Now, when looking at this just from one individual user, you might not see the benefit. But if we start expanding this to not just VPN users, but sites as well, in every state, and we group each site by the Cato point of presence and an internet service provider, you can start identifying commonalities and connection points between your sites, your users, and any potential bottleneck or performance issue. I can see here that we have one engineering site connected via Elite ISP and the Aurora office connected via Comcast, and both are coming through Chicago. Now, in the event you had multiple sites all connected to one internet service provider and these sites started experiencing performance degradation, you have commonality to work at. You have something actionable and insightful to look at. This is one substantial change to our new management application. We're providing you with the insight and the overview for you to take actionable business insight. Now, it's not just the topology page, and I'm going through things very, very quickly. And there are lots of features I won't be covering here because I know you'll want to explore and play for yourself. But if I move into the top corner, you can see we have some extra pages. We have the events page, we have the threats dashboard, we have the cloud applications dashboard, application analytics, and more. And I'll run through these very, very quickly. But you'll also notice at the top here, we have monitoring, network, access, security, assets, and administration. These are categories of pages to make the navigational experience for you simpler, easier, and better to understand. Next to the monitoring tab, we have an account menu, a simple 9-dot menu item that if you click it, provides all of the menu items you need so you can quickly access anything within the new platform. We appreciate that moving from the current Cato management application to this new is a substantial change. Everything is still there, but we've moved the locations. We've improved several visualizations and menu experiences. So the account menu, the Omni search, will hopefully help you find what you need to make the transition easier. But for now, let's focus on, say, the threats dashboard. Now, the threats dashboard is a brand new dashboard provided within the Cato management application and is taking all of the threats, all of the issues, all of the concerns which we've identified and visualizing this for you. Now, you can see over the last 2 days, we have some top threats. Looking here, top threats. We can see there's been 19 instances of a command and control server attempting to connect to compromised sites. We've seen there's CVE, with Microsoft Exchange Server, and we've known or identified blocking events. Under our IPS, a little further down, we're seeing malware, web application attacks, potentially unwanted programs, and these are all being caught by the Cato management application. Bear in mind, this is just over the last 2 days. If we were to expand this from the last 2 days to the last month, that took a little while to load, then you can see we also have anti-malware being triggered. We have ICAR files. Luckily, just test files, nothing to be concerned about, but visibility is important, it's key. And from this dashboard, you can quickly go from millions of events down to the individual actionable items that you might need to be concerned about. Now, let's drill in further. I have noticed here that we have some crypto mining. We have some potentially unwanted programs. We have web application attacks. Now, I'm just going to focus here. Remote code execution. I can see we have 4 alerts or 4 incidents. Maybe you want to get direct to those events. And we can do that very easily. By clicking on any of these little 3 lines, you have the option to either add this to a filter, exclude this from the filter, or go direct to the events. If I was to add this to a filter, you can now see at the top of the page it says threat type is remote code execution, and now I know exactly which CVEs or which ransomware attempts, which attacks, which vulnerabilities have been observed on your network. If I want to, I can see here that there's been 4 instances of this from this individual host. So let's click on the 3 lines, let's click view events, and now we've quickly gone down from millions of events down to 4. And these 4 events can quite easily be identified, they can be actioned, you can find out who did it, what did it, why they did it, and luckily, Cato blocks, because our inline intrusion prevention system and anti-malware engines ensure that you're always protected, you're always secured, and you're always up to date with the latest definitions. That's what we've done, that's what we've always been doing. That's not new to this Cato management application, but now we're visualizing what we've been doing with you in a much easier, understand way. Simple, eh? So, you'll notice the events window here, the events discovery, has been improved. It's been improved substantially. Let's just remove some of these filters to generate some more logs, to generate some more events. And this is all being recorded in one live take, so as you all know, demos can be potentially tricky, and there's always a chance things will go wrong. But here we are. Looking at events over the last month, we're seeing 570,000 events in total. And the new Cato management application is paginating all of these events and providing them to you in a very easy to understand manner. We have the regular events view, with the improved field definitions on the left-hand side. So if I wanted to know all of the event types, I could expand that and see that they're primarily security events. Now, if I wanted to take all of this data, and I wanted it in something more human readable, maybe I can come here and click Smart View. The Smart View will take all of the events, provide them to you in a more human readable format, or an easier to digest format. And then you can expand, you can get more information about the events, and kind of get better control of your network, so you can understand what's happening, where it's happening, and why. We also have the top distributions. And the top distributions will take all of these events and provide them to you in an easier to understand way with pie charts and other data. So, we've got our topology. We know how the network is connected and why it's connected. We have the events. We know what is happening on the network, what's being blocked, how you're being protected, what the connectivity information is, and the threats dashboard. The threats dashboard providing a very high-level overview of what might be compromised on your network and providing actions for you to take. But maybe you just want to know what is being used on your network and by whom. In that case, we have the new Applications Analytics dashboard. This Application Analytics dashboard will provide very clear insight into where your apps are being used and who is using it. In this top window, or the top pane, you can see the overall throughput over time. We can see the top users using traffic. We can see the top applications being identified, as well as individual sites and apps being used for those sites. Now, I'm just going to pick on this Robin Johns. I want to know what he's doing. Somebody in Human Resources has tapped me on the shoulder and said, I want to know what Robin Johns has been doing. Has he been working? We have a concern. We have an issue with that person. So what I will do is click on the filter, add them here, and now I can easily see that he's a remote user. He hasn't been at an office. We haven't identified his traffic behind any socket site, so he's been working from home doing stuff. And if I expand this icon, I can see he's used a total of 139 applications over the last month. By clicking on the Applications tab, I can now start to see which applications has this user been using. Quick traffic, Netflix. Looks like he's been using 1 gig of Netflix traffic over the past month. I wouldn't class that legitimate business, would you? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not here to tell you how to run your network. I'm just here to provide the data. And the Cato Management application provides very easy analytics to get you this actionable insight. If I was to select Netflix and I want to know more about Netflix, maybe I'll click on this handy dandy filter icon once more. And now I'm seeing when did this user use Netflix? When did Robin access Netflix? By clicking and dragging here, I can zoom in on a time frame and you can start to see that he was watching Netflix during business hours, which may or may not be allowed. But we're providing the insight. If you wanted to see everybody on your network, every site, every user, every host using Netflix during this period of time, maybe we can remove this user filter. Maybe we're not worried about this individual anymore. Maybe we're worried about the application. After removing that filter and extending the time frame once again to the past month, we can see that we only have one person. It's not an industry problem, it's not widespread across your org, it's an individual which you might need to re-educate or apply network policies to. And this is all part of our applications analytics, analysing what is being used, which categories of applications are being used, what's the throughput of individual users, which top domains are being accessed on your network, and this actionable insight is being provided to you as part of the new Cato Management application. And this is all included. Now, you'll notice under this application, or Applications tab, we have a new field. And this new field indicates risk. Lots of numbers. And you might wonder, what does risk mean? That's a great question. And we can give you a great answer. On the left-hand side, you'll notice we have the new Cloud Apps Catalog. By clicking on the Cloud Apps Catalog, you can see all of the identified applications through the Cato backbone and start to get more data about their compliance and security. So, say if I was to go to my wife's favorite application, TikTok. Don't use it myself, but I know lots of people do. Now, by expanding TikTok, I can start to see information about this application. The Cloud Apps Catalog provides an overview of the business and the business description. We know where this application or business is headquartered. We can go to the corporate website. We know roughly how many employees there are, their operating state, as well as key information regarding compliance and security. So is this vendor, is this application SOX compliant? Are they PCI DSS compliant? Do they support multi-factor authentication, encryption at rest, audit trails, and more? And all of this data, plus lots of metadata in the backend, is distilled down to give you a very easy, digestible, simple to understand risk score. And this has a risk score of 3. Now, high risk does not mean an application is malicious, but it means that it might pose a network risk to you, or a vulnerability to your environment. And from that, you can start to make decisions. Is this allowed? Is this not allowed? That's up to you. Those are kind of the key points from the monitoring pages and how you can use it. Now, once again, I am not covering every change. This is not just a new lick of paint, it's not new CSS code. We are changing the fundamentals of our Cato management application to provide and accelerate features to you. The monitoring pages are where you will likely spend most of your time. Understanding what is being used, who is using it, and then getting the actionable data to make business decisions. But I know a lot of you still need to make changes. You still need to make site deployments. You still need to configure your network. And even though it's very simple at Cato, you still need to do it. This is where the network pages come in. Go to the top of the tab, click on network, and once you've done that, you'll be provided with a nice list of all your sites. This table, if you come to the right hand side, you can add more fields. You can move fields around, so if you wanted to know the point of presence which they're connected to is the first thing in the table, you can do so. As you notice here, point of presence is in the left hand side. But focusing today, I just want to look at one office. Whilst I know I can come over here and look at the sites and the network rules and the bandwidth management and DHCP configuration, I know you don't want to listen to me talk for too long because actions speak louder than words, and you now have access to this to play and do for yourself. So let's just focus on the main office. Now, by clicking on main office, I can start to see throughput metrics. I can see data around the network analytics of this site, both upstream and downstream throughput. I'll disappear for a moment. We can start seeing the throughput with max. So the maximum values, not just the average throughput values, but the maximum. You can start seeing data regarding packet loss, upstream and downstream, the distance between the Cato point of presence and this site or this socket, the length of the tunnel being up, the jitter upstream and downstream, the quantity of flows and hosts, the last mile packet loss, and the last mile distance. So quite quickly at a glance, I can see the quantity of flows was consistent. Great. The quantity of hosts were consistent. Great. There's no substantial user behavior change. Wonderful. But I can see there was a large spike in last mile packet loss. Here, 25% to 1.1.1.1, and to google.com, and a large spike of packet loss here. So theoretically, this could have been an impact to your users. And as it's a last mile packet loss, this is packet loss that is being applied via your internet service provider, your ISP. It's not a degradation to the Cato cloud, it's us monitoring your local internet connection or your internet breakout to verify your consistency connection. These network analytics, like every page, has the option to come up here and to change the time frame. So we don't just show the last hour, we don't just show the last 10 minutes. You can specify the overall time frame or create a custom time frame if you wish. It's up to you. We're providing you the tools. Now, say if you changed your mind. You didn't want to know about the main office. You wanted to go to a different office. Let's do another zoom. You can click the drop-down box. And once you've clicked the drop-down box, you can choose something else. You can click. And if I choose engineering, and I get taken to the engineering site. Same page, same time frame, same window, different site, which makes it easier for you to go from one site to another and jump between them for quicker monitoring, for rapid monitoring. Say if you just wanted to access the events at this site. You looked at your network throughput. Your network throughput was fine. You just wanted to actually see who is logging in this site. What are the individual logged events? Well, maybe you go on the left and choose events. And this provides an events discovery window for you that only applies to this site. We've done the pre-filtering for you. It makes it easier to understand what is happening at that individual location. So if you have a network administrator which is responsible for just one site, one place, they can see it. They can access the data that they need without having to worry about adding lots of pre-filters. If you wanted to see which applications are being used just at this site, we can do that too. And once again, you click the drop-down arrow, and you can go to another site, you can another user. So if you're trying to produce site usage reports, if you're trying to look at capacity analysis, or if you're trying to decide which applications should be allowed at which sites, we can provide that for you. You can access that. It's all available at your fingertips. And the site monitoring is very easy to do, similar to the site settings. Now you'll notice, another zoom, if I minimize site monitoring and expand site settings, I can start to see information about the sockets, the network, the general settings, the configuration elements, and everything else. But for now, I'm just going to choose socket. And by choosing socket, you can see we've updated our overall socket page. We've made it look prettier. We've made every page look prettier. We've improved the performance of every page. But here, we can clearly see that these two sockets are connected, the Keep Alive is working, and they have the same version. High availability is working correctly. If we expand high availability, you can see that high availability is working. You can see the connectivity of the physical status and of the actual connection to the Cato Cloud. You can see the bandwidth, you can see the precedence. You can see the port name, which has been defined by the user. And by clicking on any of these items, we have the new side slide out display element. This will allow you to easier to configure your sites, easier to configure your settings, all within one window. But that's part of networking. Networking is for your sites. It's for your networking backbone. But we can't forget about the next thing. We know about our sites. We know about our monitoring. We know about our overall. But what about our users? Now for users, we hop over to the access page. You can go to the top, click on access, and once you've done that, you have a very similar window to networks. We once again can start configuring things such as our users, our directory services, our browser access, client sign-on, and everything else. But maybe we just want to focus on an individual user. And I'm going to pick on this shady fella, this Robin Johns, who has lots of security exploits and incidents. I'm going to click on him. Now you'll notice something different. This is a remote user. This is somebody with a Cato SDP client sat in a home office somewhere connected to the London point of presence. But we have extra detail. I have the last mile statistics here now for this user. I can see when they connected. So over the last 2 days, once again, you can change the time frame. I can see that they connected here. And they started to have distance. They started to have a connectivity profile to a Cato point of presence. It drops down to 0, they've disconnected. We can see that they've connected to a different point of presence. We can see that the throughput profile is consistent. And we can start also seeing the throughput data. Because your remote users are not just remote users. They're not just an individual sat in a Starbucks or locked in their apartment. They are a branch office of one. Just one person connected into your network, which also poses a potential security breach into your corporate WAN. So you should start monitoring your remote users like you monitor your sites. That's why we provide these metrics. This is why we provide these statistics. This is why we provide application analytics on a per user basis. Because your users and your sites are synonymous. They are connector points. They are ways for data to ingress and egress and flow throughout your entire backbone and throw through the Cato Cloud. So if you're not monitoring your users like your sites, you have a potential risk. It's only by knowing what is being used that you can make those judgment calls. And the new Cato management application is designed to get you actionable data as quick as possible. No more digging through logs, but you can still do that if you want to. Instead, we're providing the context, the high-level overview to ensure that networking security is made simple for you, or continue to make simple. Now, you can see we have the user monitoring, and we also have user settings. Now, user settings could be things such as the general configuration, the device authentication, the member of groups, and I'm not going to get too deep in that today because I'm keeping this high level, and you'll have plenty of time to use the new application. Let's go back to the access page. Like every other table that you can see here, you can click on any of these headers to start organizing. Alphabetical or configured status to make your life easier, and user provisioning, even though it was already simple, continues to be very easy in this new application. So, let's recap. We've covered the monitoring pages. We've covered the networking pages for your sites. We've covered the access pages for your users. Now to cover the exciting world of security. Ooh. Now, the security world is a little different. When you first come to this page, the default thing that you'll see is that we have the internet firewall. And the visual design has been definitely updated to ensure that you can actually see each of your rules. You can see your categories, you can see your definitions, and more. Now, to create a new firewall rule, or to edit an existing firewall rule, you have options. I like to come over here and click New, because I want to create a new rule. And by clicking New, our side slide out panel provides you all of the data that you need. You can specify the name of the rule. You can specify the order of the rule. Please remember that our firewall rules are sequential. So if we wanted to create a rule in position number 3, I can enter 3. And by entering 3 here, the existing rule in number 3 would be drop down 1 because it's a sequential firewall. You can specify the source. We can specify users, groups, remote data, and much more to actually define a firewall rule. That's all available for you within this native side slide out window. And whilst you're doing this, you can also see the existing rules configured in the shaded area. Nice and easy. If you create a rule and decide that, I don't want anything in space number 3 and you wanted to remove it, we can now hover over this little icon next to the number and click and drag. Very, very easily to change the location of a rule, to make that change. And whilst this is just a minor change, hopefully we'll find it's a quality of life improvement for. It's all available. Through this security window or through the security menu, you configure your WAN firewall, your IPS policy, your anti-malware, and more. All available through the security tab. It's all available. It's all simple. It's all there for you. Now, I know time is running on a little. I'll try and speed up because I know you're probably all very excited to actually get into this and start using it. We'll drop over to the Assets tab. The Assets tab, if I was to go directly to it here, bear in mind we do prompt to save changes, and today I'm not going to save changes at all. The Assets tab is where you'd configure your groups, your custom apps, your categories, and advanced categorizations. And all of these configurations is available. It's available to you very, very easy to configure what you need when you need it. And it's all being grouped now into something more logical. Whilst in the old Cato management application, you may have to go to several windows to actually configure the information you need. Now we're making this all very accessible to you. Very logically laid out. And all unified under our single pane of glass. Our single, all new Cato management application. Simple. Now, on top, you will notice we've covered the monitoring. We've covered networking, security, access, assets, and the last thing, of course, is administration. You can never forget your administration, because no matter how shiny or lovely something is, admins are always needed. This is where you can start configuring the administrators, the people who log into your all-new Cato management application. This is where you start configuring the restrictions of who can log in and why for single sign-on and other. And you could also start configuring your API management, the ability to generate API keys and choose how the permissions of people accessing this. It's all available under the administration tab. Now, I've covered a lot. I've covered a lot here. So just to recap, just to do very, very high level, let's just go through some of the tips and tricks. Stuff you might want to know, stuff you might want to need to know. And I'm going to start by doing a quick recap. OmniSearch, search bar. Up in the top corner, if you're confused, if you don't know where something is, if you want to find a page, move your mouse from monitoring to the command menu, and then type what you want. I'd say DHCP. Click the button, get taken straight there. Currently nothing configured here, but it's available. And that's all you need to do. If you can't find an item, we have a search bar. That's tip 1. Tip 2. We're in the monitoring page. We go into the top right hand corner, we choose filter and group. And I want to group all my sites, all my users, and I want to find out all of our internet service providers in the world. So I'll do location and provider and location and provider and start to actually build up a map. And I want to minimize all of these things. Let's click here to just minimize. Ooh. Now I want to know who's using Comcast. I come to the search bar, I type Comcast. There we go. The Aurora, Illinois office is using Comcast. Easy. Tip and trick. Another useful tip and trick. Say you want to change the color scheme. Say that you're not a fan of the bright color scheme. In that case, you can come up to your top right hand corner, click on your profile, change the theme to dark mode. Makes everything dark. And another tip and trick that you might want is the ability to access everything. Sounds like a tip and trick. Everything is available to you now. If you're watching this video, you have access to the new Cato management application. Everything's available for you. But if you need to switch back for any reason at all, which hopefully you don't need to, in the top right hand corner, you'll have the option. either a toggle switch or the word old interface. And by clicking that button, we provide you with a little pop-up window asking why you want to switch back. Because this is not a tool that we're just giving to you, we also want to get feedback as well. Cato is a service company, and it's only through your continued happiness that we can continue driving, expanding, evolving, and developing. So if something works or it doesn't work, please let us know. And once you've done that, you can click the submit button and you'll be taken back to the Cato management application you know today. But hopefully, you won't need to. So thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure. And until next one, I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.